Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today's video, we're going to chat Nighthorn, as there's been a bunch of information come out about the brand new Nighthorn battle tome, from Allegiance abilities to a couple of warscrolls points, and indeed some subfaction abilities as well, all shown from the Nighthorn battle tome. So today's video, we're going to go through everything that's been leaked out there and all the information we have on this to sort of chat a little bit about all of it, see what it's all doing, and see what we think of everything that's coming for Nighthorn. I've had a quick read through most of it, and on a overall sort of first look, I am really impressed. I think this is shaping up to be a fantastic battle tome for the Nighthorn. And really looking forward to seeing what they can do on the tabletop. So with that being said, we're going to crack into the Allegiance abilities first, then we'll look at Subfactions, and then we'll look at the warscrolls and points at the end of the video. So let's get cracking on with it. Alright, and so first of all, here we have the Allegiance abilities for the Nighthorn. There's quite a few of them, and they are really varied and really good. So first of all is Nighthaunt Processions. There are 4 subfactions for the Nighthaunt. We'll talk about these in a sec. One of them we know as the Emerald Host, and then we have the Grieving Legion, Scarlet Doom, and Quicksilver Dead. There is none of Reichnar's Condemned or anything in here. Maybe that's the Grieving Legion. We'll have a look at it all in just a sec. But let's go into the other abilities. First of all, Aura of the Dead. Enemy units are terrified while they're within 3 inch of friendly Nighthorn units. While a unit is terrified, it cannot issue or receive the Inspiring Presence command. This ability has no effect on other Nighthorn units. This is just straight up awesome. This is the sort of thing I was talking about when I was talking about how to make Nightshot Bravery sort of bombs, or extra models flee, or can't use Inspiring Presence. I really like this. Still doesn't affect Ossiarch Bone Reapers, but I guess that's the second Death Army it doesn't work against. But this is really cool, not being able to use Inspiring Presence or anything like that. There are going to be some workarounds in current old War Scrolls. I think the KO still have, or did that disappear on the Admiral now, the Battleship community. There are workarounds around this with some things, but really solid start. Ethereal is now just an Allegiance ability, which is really cool. It explains how it works. This gives all Nighthorn a 6-up ward. So first thing here is there is no need to have your squishy Nighthorn characters being the sort of fulcrum for your 6-up wards, so much harder to get rid of. In addition, friendly Nighthorn units can retreat and charge in the same turn, which is massive. Retreat and charge army-wide is huge. Especially when you consider every Nighthorn unit flies. This is massive. Like, retreat and charge with fly, they can be everywhere, doing so much on the table. Just absolutely amazing. We then have, on top of that, we have a command ability called Discorporate. You can use this command ability when a friendly Nighthorn unit is picked as the target of an attack in the shooting or combat phase, and that unit must receive the command. The unit now has a ward save of 5+ instead of 6+ for until the end of the phase. So pretty cool. This doesn't mean it's +1. You don't get +1. It is just you have a 5-up ward. So if you've got something better on like a character, as we'll see, you won't get a better one. We then have the new Wave of Terror. So gone is the slot machine, which is awesome. I mean, it's still based on your charge roll, but you get effects as long as you don't roll a 2 or 3. So it fails very rarely. And not only that, we've now got additional basic rules on top of this. So really do like this. Pretty much when something gets something charges, you see what its unmodified charge roll is, so no bonuses added to this, and see what effect. On a 4 to 7, you subtract 1 from hit rolls made against your Nighthorn unit. On an 8 or 9, you subtract 1 from save rolls that target the unit that has been charged. And then you have Petrify, where you apply the Strike's Last rule to the enemy unit as well. And you can charge multiple Nighthorn units into the same units to try and proc every effect. You just can't double up on any effect in here. So you can totally make a unit -1 save, -1 to hit, and strike last. If you manage to get all the 3 different charges distances off, which is really cool. I like that it can stack. It is a little bit slot machine in that chance that you might not get the same ones, but every one is an additional bonus. I really like this. Frightful Touch as well is now an army-wide ability. This is any 6s to hit, wound the target automatically. You don't need to make a wound roll. I love this. This is what Mortal Wounds should be, I think, in the game wide. I don't like Mortal Wounds just outright ignoring stuff, or at least A lot of things that do mortal wounds should probably have this rule instead. And lastly, Vanishing Phantasms, which is another great maneuverability army. This army is really great at both sowing terror and moving across the table. At the end of deployment, before determining control of objectives, you can remove up to 3 friendly Nighthaunt units from the battlefield and place them on one side to be set up in ambush and come on as reserve units. This means you can still have, like the edge in a deployment in the deployment phase with having a 1-drop force. Can you drop your whole 1-drop force, watch your opponent drop, and go, cool, I'm lifting these 3 units. I really, really dig this. I think this is a really, really solid set of allegiance abilities for Nighthorn. I don't think I've seen as good a set of allegiance abilities that really seem to understand the army. We've got Wave of Terror and Awe of Dead, both which sort of influence how the army, the like Vanishing Phantasms and Part of Ethereal really help, how ghosts are supposed to move over the table. On top of like Frightful Touch and Ethereal and Discorporate, really influencing what ghosts should be like. I really dig this. As a Nighthaunt player, I'd be extremely happy with these allegiance abilities. In fact, I'm going to be playing Nighthaunt in some campaigns soon on the channel, and I've got my Nighthaunt army getting ready to get some paint on it. But this is just really, really cool. Absolutely love these allegiance abilities. We then have our Nighthaunt processions. So, as mentioned, there are 4 of these. First of all, let's look at the Scarlet Doom. After a friendly Scarlet Doom Bladegeist Revenant unit makes a charge, you can pick an enemy unit within 1 inch of that unit, and if you do so, you roll a number of dice equal to the number of models from that charging unit. For each 5+ the enemy unit suffers a mortal wound. So you effectively get Ogre Charge with your Bladegeist Revenants. This is pretty cool. Remembering, we also have the ability to have Retreat and Charge army-wide, so you're going to be getting that pretty much every turn, unless your opponent can pin you in somehow. So that's a really, really cool ability, being able to get mortal wounds on the charge, on top of already getting your bonuses from your allegiance ability from the one where we're going to get the, what is it called? Where we're going to get Wave of Terror. That's the allegiance ability. Completely forgot the name. Wave of Terror, like, that's just doubling down on something you're already wanting to do, which is charge with Nighthorn. Quicksilver Dead, where ward rolls cannot be made for wounds caused by attacks made with melee weapons by friendly Quicksilver Dead Dread Scythe Harridans. Really, really cool stuff there. Not being allowed to allow, ward saves from Harridans. I've got some Harridans, so maybe this is what we'll be going with first. But really cool stuff there as well. We've then got the Grieving Legion. Enemy units cannot retreat while they're within 3 inch of friendly Grieving Legion units with 10 or more models. This I really like as well, because remembering, we can retreat and charge at all times, so it's not allowing our opponent to play in that game. Even if they have retreat and charge, they can't do it. So this really sort of sets up that retreat and charge playstyle really nicely. And then we've got the Emerald Host, where after armies have been set up but before the first battle round begins, you can pick up to D3 plus 1 different enemy units on the battlefield. At the end of each battle round, roll a dice for each unit that you picked on the battlefield. On 2+, the unit suffers mortal wounds. Suffers a mortal wound, or if they're a monster or anything, they suffer D3 instead. Pretty cool stuff. I think Emerald Host is probably the weakest of the, but it has its uses against an elite army. It could definitely come in handy. Little mortal wound splash, if Nurgle's taught me anything, can be really, really good. I think Quicksilver Dead and Scarlet Doom are the 2 for me. If you've got heaps of either one of those types of units, you're definitely playing in that. The ability to remove wards in the game is huge. Not remembering as well that you're going to potentially be auto-wounding your opponent as well on 6s. So there's some really cool stuff there. Quicksilver Dead. And so we also got some enhancements shown off. So let's take a look at the command traits, artifacts of power, for a bunch of different things as well. So command traits, Shades of Death for Nighthaunt heroes only. You can give your general a 4-up ward against damage inflicted by mortal wounds, which is pretty sweet. Terrifying Entity, enemy units are terrified within 6 inches of this general. That's not too bad, I like that. Ruler of the Spectral Hosts. Once per battle at the end of your movement phase, you can pick a friendly Sun Nighthaunt unit that has been destroyed. After you pick a unit that has been destroyed, roll a dice on a 4+, a new replacement unit with half the models is added to your army. I mean, that's been nerfed from what it used to be. That's definitely not one. It's a command trait that's got a 50% chance to go off. Definitely not something I'd ever consider. Hatred of the Living is reroll hit and wound rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by this general that target enemy units that does not have death. Okay, but there's death armies in the meta. Soulblight are definitely something apparent. Spiteful Spirit. At the end of the combat phase, as the general allocated any wounds that were not negated during that phase, you can roll a number of dice equal to the wounds characteristic of this general. For each 4+, each enemy unit within 6 inch suffers 1 mortal wound. Ooh. That's not bad on a general that's got lots of wounds. Depending on what there is, that could be okay. Cloaked in Shadow, the general cannot be picked as a target of shooting or combat attacks by more than 1 unit per phase. That's not bad either. I definitely think Lingering Spirit, Terrifying Entity, and Cloaked in Shadow are probably the 3 best there. Then we go into Artifacts of Power, Relics of the Underworlds. This is for any Nighthaunt hero. Now we've got the Cloak of Waxing Moon, subtract 1 from the attacks characteristic of melee weapons that target the bearer. Pendant of the Fellwind, subtract 1 from wound rolls for melee weapons while they're within 3 inches of the bearer. Wizard only, once per battle if the bearer attempts to cast a spell that would summon an endless spell, the spell is automatically cast with a casting value of 12 that cannot be modified and it cannot be unbound. That's not bad if we have a good endless spell, Midnight Tome. So hoping we have a good endless spell because that could be really, really cool. Then we go over to Weapons of the Damned. Once again, Nighthaunt heroes only. All of these are just Nighthaunt heroes only. First one is Shadow's Edge, where you pick one of your melee weapons. If your modified wound roll for an attack, maybe that weapon is a 6, the attack inflicts D3 mortal wounds and the attack sequence ends. If you can find something with a decent amount of attacks, that's not bad. D3 mortals off it is pretty cool. Reaper of Sorrows, pick one of the bearer's melee weapons before the bearer attacks with this weapon. Pick one enemy unit within 1 inch of the bearer and roll 2d6. If the result is higher than the target's bravery characteristic, the weapon's rank characteristic is -3 for attacks made until the end of the phase. The weapon's rank characteristic is -4 of -3 if the target is also terrified. Cool, that's pretty sweet. And then Slither, when you pick the bearer to fight for the first time in your turn before the bearer makes a pile-in move, you can pick one enemy model within 1 inch of the bearer and roll a dice. If the roll is greater than the enemy model's wounds characteristic, the model is slain. Yeah, not bad. I do like Shadow's Edge ability. If we have like a decent hero to put it on, something with a lot of attacks. Doesn't need to be, the biggest hero, but if something's got a lot of attacks with that, it could be pretty cool. Slither's not bad. It is 1 inch, but, it could come up trumps. We then have our Infernal Treasures. Light Shard of the Harvest Moon. Once per battle at the start of the combat phase, you can say the bearer will release the Baleful Gloom of the Light Shard. If you do so, add 1 to the attacks characteristic of all melee weapons used by friendly Nighthorn units whole within 12 inches of the bearer. That's really cool. +1 to all your attacks. When we've got things like auto wound on the attacks, we're potentially doing charges. I really, really dig that. Beacon of Nagashazar. Once per battle in your hero phase, you can say the bearer will call the souls of the lost to the beacon's light. If you do so, you can return 1 Slayer model to all friendly Nighthorn summonable units on the battlefield. If you're playing with a more elite force and lots of MSU, that could be all interesting. Soulfire Ring, at the end of the combat phase, you can heal up to D6 wounds allocated to the bearer. In that phase, if they slayed an enemy model, then yeah, that's okay. Enemy units that finish a piling move within 3 inches of the bearer suffer 1 mortal wound after the piling is made for Covetous Familiar. And then Witchlight Lantern for a wizard only. Once per battle, the wizard can attempt to cast 1 additional spell that it does not know from the lore of the Underworlds. That's not bad. Having the access to a once per game use of another spell is really, really cool. I do like the Light Shard of the Harvest Moon and Witchlight Lantern. I think Witchlight Lantern definitely has some ability, depending on what the spell lore is like. If it remains like the old Nighthaunt spell lore, could be really interesting. I think Shadow's Edge is pretty cool if we have a decent hero to put it on. Slither, situational, but pretty cool. And then the Midnight Tome is definitely really, really cool. The ability, if we've got especially a endless spell that's worth taking, that's really solid. And so here we have the first War Scroll for the Black Coach and also the Pitch Battle Profiles. I'm not going to go into the Pitch Battle Profiles. It's up on the screen. You can read it. A lot of stuff has increased a lot in cost across the whole army, but I don't think unworthily. I think there's been some really cool stuff shown. Now, let's talk Black Coach. He still is not a hero. That is the big thing in this, I think, to take away from the Black Coach. It's still not a hero. 10-inch move, 12 wounds, 4 up save, bravery 10. He's got D3 attacks, 4s, 3s, range 1 damage, 2 range, and then he's got all these different combat attacks. Plenty of rend in there, actually. Some rend too, which is nice. Now, his Invocation of Death abilities change. There's no longer the sort of tiered leveling up thing in the game. When this unit is set up for the first time, you place a D6 beside it with a 1 facing up. Each time an enemy model is slain or flees within 12 inches of that unit, you increase the dice besides this by 1 to a maximum of 6. If the value of the dice between 5 and 6, this unit has a 4+ ward instead of 5+ from the insubstantial form ability. And once per turn in your shooting phase, if the value of the dice of this unit is a 6, you can say that it will unleash the stored necromantic energy. And if you do so, you pick an enemy unit within 12 inch and roll a dice. On a 2+, the enemy unit suffers 3d3 mortal wounds. Then change the value of this dice back to 1. Pretty cool. 3d3 mortal wounds is nice. Definitely a way to like snipe out characters. Being able to have a 4-up board, I think you would almost always go, unless you get a juicy target for those 3d3 mortal wounds. Just because on a 2+, there's that chance you're rolling a 1 on that. In substantial form means this model has a base 5-up ward, can go to the 4-up. Like I said, the command ability would never work on this model because it doesn't have a 6-up to replace with a 5-up. It would only ever get a 5-up. Nimbus of Power, instead of picking a unit to make a normal move or retreat, you can say it will travel the underworlds to a new location. You can set it up again on the battlefield more than 1 inch from all terrain features, objectives, and 9 inch from enemy units. Cool stuff there. Runaway Coach as well. If this unit makes a charge move, you can pick an enemy unit within 1 inch, and on a 2+, they suffer D3 mortals. So pretty solid stuff there. I think it's got some cool tech. He's a little bit more expensive than he used to be. The Black Coach is now 335 points, but really, really cool. And then we have Lady Linda. Now, she's move 8 with 7 wounds, 4-up save, bravery 10. She's got her Staff of Midnight, 2-inch range, 4 attacks, 3 threes, Ren 2, damage 2, and her Spectral Claws for 6 attacks, 4 threes, Ren 1, damage 1. She's a War Master, so she's always treated as your general, even if you've chosen someone else. Double cast and unbind, really nice. And her Handmaid is a Conceding Companion. She has a base ward save of 4+, which is really cool. Once per battle at the start of your hero phase, this unit on the battlefield, you can return D6 Slaying models to each friendly Nighthaunt unit on the battlefield from her No Rest for the Wicked ability. Mortark of Grief allows her to roll a dice each time an enemy unit issues a command within 12 inch of her, and on 5+, the command's not issued. Really solid. Like, just 5+, no commands for you. Doesn't matter what phase it is. And the command point is also lost as well, that was tried to be used. Really, really cool ability. Like, the fact that just your opponent's going to lose 1 in 3 command abilities that go off around Linda is amazing. Lifting the Veil is at the start of the shooting phase. You can pick one enemy unit within 12 inches of this unit. On a 2+, they suffer a number of mortal wounds equal to the roll. Add 1 to the number of mortal wounds the target suffers if it's terrified. If any enemy models are slain by this ability, you can heal D3 wounds allocated to this unit for each enemy model that was slain. So pretty good healing on her as well. She then has a warscroll spell, Grief Stricken, casting a value of 7, range of 18, pick an enemy unit within range invisible, subtract 1 from hit rolls made by that unit, and add 1 to hit rolls that target that unit with melee weapons from friendly Nighthaunt units. She's pretty solid. She's got some cool utility. She's pretty survivable now with a 4-up ward and healing. She's got some really damaging sort of disruption abilities as well with Mortark of Grief, some cool healing for your whole army as well, and No Rest for the Wicked. I think she's pretty solid. She has gone up as well to 340 points herself. Be interesting to see how Nighthaunt go with all these points increases, but we can just go over and have a quick look. Like Basing's Chain Rasp were 110 or 120. I think they're 110. Grimghast Reapers 160. Hexwraith 160. Spirit Host 125. And then we've got the new dude, Orok the Drowner, 175. The new boat dude. But all in all, like, pretty cool. If you're a Nighthaunt player, what do you think of all these new Nighthaunt rules? Let us know down in the comments below. And so that is the end of the video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel and drop us a comment. Let us know what you thought about the video. If you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our fine little community here at Sinful Gaming, you can come and join our Discord server, which is linked down in the video's description. Lastly, if you'd like to help support the channel, you can do so either by supporting us on Patreon or YouTube members, both of which are linked down in the video's description, or you can indeed go grab some merch on our Ko-fi store. We've got some cool Sinful Gaming dice, which you'll see used on the channel, down for sale in there. Lastly, as a special thanks to everyone who supports on Patreon and YouTube members, we'd like to give you all a shout out on every video we do that you support. So a thank you to our Patreons, Christian Weir, James, Soren, Greenskins Gaming, AJC, Kenny Lowe, Alderin Shot First, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, The Rising Ape, Q Dynamic, Agu, Anthony B, Anton Nielsen, JJ Austrian, Average Wargamer, Domir, Mark Harvey, James Cater, Dynet226, and Derek. And a shout out to our YouTube members, and a massive thank you as well to Green Roots Gaming, Kenton Young, Chris Wallace, Ronya, Villy, Lockloric, The Johnny84, David Ellsworth, Revenar, Wolfric Nick, Broken Chef, Ariana Edwards, Sean Scott, and Pink Nico Fire. Lastly, a massive thanks to Lady Witchfox Art, who does all the amazing artwork for the channel, and to Xmorphic, who has done amazing work in setting up our Discord server and doing amazing work over there. Thank you all for watching once again. Stay safe, everyone. Stay well. And most of all, keep fighting that war against the grey. Ciao for now.